stand by for action.
Thanks for joining me. My name is Dave Milner. I am the Unpleasant Blind Guy, and I want to welcome you to part one of this episode of the Unpleasant Blind Guy on EDL Radio. Now remember, if you want to contact me with comments, questions, show suggestions, Awesome American suggestions, I'm available at UBG Contact on Twitter, or I can also be found as Dave Milner or Agador, that's Aggedor, on Mublet, the Tea Party Community, Spreely, Minds, MeWe, or Gab. Now let's begin.
Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. I hope, indeed I pray, that we shall not be found unworthy of our victory if after toil and tribulation it is granted to us. For the rest, we have to gain the victory. That is our task. Let us therefore brace ourselves to our duty. So bear ourselves that if the British Empire and its commonwealths last for 1,000 years, men will still say, this was their finest hour.
We shall not fail or falter. We shall not weaken or tire. Neither the sudden shock of battle nor the long-drawn trials of vigilance and exertion will wear us down. Give us the tools, and we will finish the job.
We shall go on to the end. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength. We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender.
Tried to change my country, you tried to change my life. No one ever asked me if I thought that this was right. It's time for us to tell you that we will go through hell to defend our country and to help the EDL. I'm proud to be an Englishman, and I'm going to be free. I won't forget the men who died to get that right to me, and we will stand up against you and defend England every day. There's no doubt we love this land. Go save England and the UK. Lied to all the people and tried to take away their rights, but we won't let you sell this land, not without a fight. It's time for us to tell you that you can go to hell. It's time for us to stand and fight and join the EDL. I'm proud to be an Englishman, and I'm going to be free. I won't forget the men who died to give that right to me, and we will stand up against you and defend England every day. There's no doubt we love this land. Go save England and the UK.
Good evening and welcome to the English Defence League radio show, broadcasting live from blogtalkradio.com. The English Defence League radio show, the truth and the voice of the EDL. The title of the show this evening is English Defence League radio show, Tommy Robinson, D-Day sentence. So we're going to say, welcome to the English Defence League radio show with your host, Jeff Spider Mitchell. And my panellist this evening is Dave Agador Milner. Jan the Tornado Rennie will join us when her work time permits. Tonight we will be doing a debriefing with what has happened in London's Old Bailey's Kangaroo Court. Railroading of a journalist, author, human rights activist and founder of the EDL, Mr. Tommy Robinson. As time allows, we will also be discussing items of interest from across the planet. We'll speak for those who are silenced. No surrender ever. All that is necessary for evil to prevail is that good men do nothing. And that was by the late great Edmund Burke. Those who make peaceful revolution impossible will make a violent revolution inevitable. And that was by the late great President John F. Kennedy. So without further ado, let me pass it over to my friend and my colleague. There might be a possibility that Jan might be able to join us tonight. It depends on her workload. But so you know, we're just hoping that we see Jan turn up. But with that, Dave, over to you, brother. Good to have you. And thanks for the great slides, Dave, and the scripting this evening. Thank you, Dave.
Right, Jeff, good evening to you, and good evening to everybody in the UK, and good afternoon to everybody in the United States. Hello to everyone around the world. Yes, today is a rather somber day, as we have found out the sentence that has been handed down by the UK regime against Tommy Robinson, and we will be playing a report from Ezra Levant, who was live on the spot when this occurred. Jeff and I are both, as you might imagine, kind of beside ourselves with concern for Mr. Robinson. And Jeff, I know you have plenty to say about this. If you'd like to begin with comments, and then I can possibly play the Ezra Levant thing, or I could just go ahead and play the Ezra Levant thing right now. We do have details for after. What would you like to do?
Well, for a start, one thing I can say, I know Tommy talked about that he thought if he was in prison it could be 2 years. So this evening, unfortunately, as you say, ladies and gentlemen, a great man, an innocent man who's been incarcerated, this will be his first day. He got a 9-month sentence, but if you remember, Tommy served almost 3 months of the contempt thing from earlier last year, about the same time last year, I think it was served. He got 9 months. So by the time you whittle that down, I think Mr. Tommy Robinson will have to serve something like, I think it's about 66 days, something like that. I think it's about 66 days. It's because you take the time off, this, that, and the other. That's how it works out. So the time that he was in custody today, that was when he was put in custody today, was basically that would be counted as the first day of the sentence. Okay, guys, even though half the day might have gone, it doesn't matter. It's still a part of the sentence. If he's sentenced and he's starting to serve it as soon as he's in custody. You see, so that's what I was talking to Dave just earlier before we come to air, didn't we, Dave? We was talking about the different procedures. But yeah, Dave, Yeah, I think one thing, Tommy, is, well, I know that he had a conversation. I know that he spoke to his dear wife, and the thing about it is he is in solitary. He is. It seems like he's secure, so that is a bit of a worry off our minds a little bit. But it's like anything, we never know. Once you're in behind bars and all what that consists of, you know exactly what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing's safe in there. It's a dangerous place. And it's a bit of a hellhole for the jihadists as well. They're very good at recruiting in Belmarsh Prison. That is where Tommy will be residing for the next couple of months or so. So with that, Dave, let me pass it back to you, brother. I'm just, ladies and gentlemen, I've got to say, I did speak to Dave earlier. It's just, I just think of him, Dave, his wife, his beautiful children. You know, their dad taken away from them. I mean, they're serving a sentence just themselves, aren't they? With Tommy not being around. So that's what's been on my mind today, ladies and gentlemen. So with that, Dave, sorry, mate, I'll pass it back to you, and maybe you can continue with what you was going to do, brother.
Well, Jeff, obviously, it's your show, so you have nothing to apologize for, brother. I'll just add my own thing here. I was asked by BZ, who hosts BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, which is one of our SHR media programs. That, by the way, guys, can be heard Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11 p.m. Eastern. That would be 4 a.m. British Summer Time. He's been concerned about Mr. Robinson, and even bought his book, Enemy of the State. And I told BZ that I felt that yes, that there was a possibility that he would get 2 years, but that I didn't think they would give him that entire amount of time, but that they would send him up for something. Obviously, we were praying that he would just be released with a sentence of time served, which, the kind of hellhole that he was in, that should have been done, but it wasn't. And I can speculate on why I think that was once we hear from Ezra Levant. I'm just glad it wasn't more time, Jeff. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. This is from Ezra Levant. He was outside the court. He has been covering this trial. And we're just going to get to hear this. This is from him. And this was done today. You're listening. This is about 7 minutes. You're listening to the English Defense League radio show. Here we go, Jeff. I'm going to go ahead and run this.
Thank you, Dave.
Ezra Levant for the Rebel.media. I'm standing outside the Old Bailey Central Criminal Courts in London shortly after Tommy Robinson was sentenced to prison for live streaming his political commentary on Facebook outside a rape gang trial last year in Leeds. This has been a very long procedure, 14 months back and forth in the courts. Tommy has already served 10 weeks in solitary confinement before that original conviction was quashed. This was a retrial, and yet he was convicted again and sentenced again. The long and the short of it is he was sentenced to a maximum of 9 months in prison. They reactivated an old 3-month suspended sentence, added to it a new 6-month sentence, and ordered that they be served consecutively. 9 months in prison for citizen journalism. But, as I mentioned, because he served some time improperly, he gets credit for that. There's other mathematics that apply. So in the end, the effective sentence will be 19 weeks in prison. And again, because there's a rule about early release, Tommy will be out in 9.5 weeks. So after all the math, Tommy Robinson will be in prison for 66 days. He was led out of the courtroom directly. He had a bag of his clothing and personal belongings. He was led out by security through a special stairwell, and as I speak, he is surely en route to a prison somewhere right now. I spoke to him briefly when the sentencing submissions were over, but we were waiting for the judges to come back in He gave me his thoughts. He was remarkably calm. I think he was resolved. He's been to prison before, so the idea of spending a few months in prison more is less daunting to him than it would be for someone who's not been to prison before. He's also hopeful that it'll be a less punitive prison experience than before, that he'll have certain civil rights because he's a civil prisoner, not a criminal prisoner, and that means he has certain privileges that should be accorded. Whether or not that happens, I don't know. I think there's a real risk that the prison authorities will deliberately put him in a dangerous position, either to have him killed by prison gangs, which are dominated by the Muslim prison gangs, or alternatively, that he'll have to go in this tiny box of solitary confinement for 23 and a half hours a day, as he was last time. So that's how he seemed to me when I saw him in court, calm, resolved. Resigned is probably too big a word. Looking forward to getting out, I think is more accurate. And he gave me some notes that he asked me to say to people, and I gave a short speech, very short speech of Tommy's remarks to a small crowd that was here. The bulk of the crowd that was outside the court has marched to Parliament Hill, but there were a few folks here who were remaining for some word. Here's a short excerpt from the short speech I gave of Tommy Robinson's words that he asked me to tell people. Take a look. So this is from Tommy Robinson to his supporters, and I'll look in the camera because I think his supporters, not just you folks here who are remaining, but everywhere, will be interested. So Tommy said, "I have been sentenced to 9 months in prison. That has been reduced because of the months I have already improperly served in solitary confinement. I will serve more than 2 more months of guaranteed solitary confinement. None of this was decided by a jury because a jury would not convict me of journalism. A jury of British men and women would be outraged by the widespread rape of our girls, not by the person who is reporting on the widespread rape of our girls. And that is what I have been sent to prison for, not for inciting vigilantism and not for disrupting any trial. They weren't disrupted. I have been sent to prison for exposing a crisis in our country that the police and the judges and the media all know about, but all prefer not to talk about out of political correctness. But if the establishment thinks this will stop me, they are sorely mistaken. Unless I'm killed in prison, which may be their real goal, I will be back soon with a renewed commitment to telling the stories that the mainstream media won't tell and that the police and the courts will do nothing about. I see that in the United States, a politically corrected millionaire named Jeffrey Epstein has finally been charged with raping young girls. No one ever thought he would be charged because he's so politically powerful, but he was. That's a justice system that works. If he were in the UK, the journalists who exposed him would be the ones going to jail. That's what happens in a country without freedom of the press. Thank you for your support, and don't forget about me in prison. I promise I will be back, and I promise we won't rest until the rape of our children is stopped." So that's Tommy's message that he asked me to deliver because he had to be taken straight away and he could not come out. Well, I think that I was worried this morning that the reaction would be brutal violence, and it's obvious the police were worried about that too. They had riot gear, long truncheons, body armor. They took special steps, even with the metal gates. They were all joined together with plastic bands. They were ready for violence. I spoke to one cop when I came out, and I said, "Oh, I'm glad nothing got violent." He said, "What? We had coffee thrown at us," and he showed me that was true. I told him I regretted that, and that was inappropriate, but it was better than I had feared. I thought it would have been a more widespread riot. Looks like they're shutting down the gates right now. So that's my report from the Old Bailey. Not really a surprise. I was a little bit surprised, I should tell you, that Tommy Robinson was convicted. The case against him was so weak because, of course, his comments 14 months ago did not disrupt any trial, so why would he still be hunted by the prosecutor for 14 months? Well, obviously he's a political problem, and now the solution is to throw him in jail. I get the feeling, though, he'll be out in 2 months bigger than ever because he's becoming a bit of a free speech martyr and, frankly, a bit of an embarrassment to the United Kingdom that is treating their political dissidents, well, a little bit too much like how Vladimir Putin or Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela treats theirs. I've got a number of reports on this subject. You can see them all at realreporters.uk. Until next time, on behalf of all of us at The Rebel, keep fighting for freedom. I'm here in the UK to report on Tommy's sentencing hearing. He's been sent back to prison for months for the crime of committing journalism. To see all my reports and to help contribute to my travel costs, please go to realreporters.uk.
Well, what a great gentleman Ezra is, and what a great friend of Tommy's he is. They are really close friends, and you know, when Tommy worked for Rebel Media, as you used to say, try not to get yourself into much trouble, Tommy. And Tommy'd laugh and he'd say, "I'll just do what I do, Ezra." You know what I mean? That's the thing that they had. But then Tommy decided that, you know, that he should try to set up his own media, which he has done, actually. You know, I mean, I can see, hopefully, nothing untoward happens to Mr. Robinson. And as I say, I was quite surprised today of not to see, you know, any violent reaction, and not as such anyway. Nothing that you can really talk. Just a lot of unhappy people. I think there was more aggravation, I would say, when he was actually he got found guilty on the charges last week than what we've seen today. But you know, it's just the way it is. I think if anything happens to Tommy, then, you know, God forbidding it doesn't, then you could see some things happening, which I won't go into no details. But it's so easy. People are so inflamed with the total corruption, the deviousness, anything to get Tommy Robinson. You just got to get him, got to nail him. I bet they just dream about Tommy doing something like this, don't they? To get him in prison, get him to shut up. Unfortunately for them, Tommy might be silenced for a little while, but there's still people, there's still the movement out there that's moving forward. The more you do this to this young man, the more you persecute and you prosecute this young man. What do you mean? Do you think that we will go quiet? That people like me will go, "Oh dear, it could be me next"? Well, you know what? If it's me, it's me. If it's anybody else, it's anybody else. Because we're not going to be silenced because they're inept at what they do and covering up corruption and perversion that we see that with these Muslim grooming gangs across the United Kingdom. Over 1 million plus girls and boys has been raped over the time. You think about that. That's just unbelievable, isn't it? Plus all the other devious things. The corruption in the councils. We see it across this country. Backhanders to the Muslims, so they get what they call these places. They don't call it a mosque, they call it a community centre. It's just a community centre, just to cover up for another mosque. That's what I'm saying. We've got over 3,000 mosques in this country now, believe it or not. Can you believe it, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, you should do, because we know what's going on. It's just like an ant's nest there. They spread. But Dave, thank you for that. I mean, that was the first time I've heard Ezra report, because I was following RT a lot of the time with they was following the crowd, basically. But it sort of that's quite a quiet response, really, to what happened today. That's what I said to you earlier, didn't I, Dave? It was a bit unusual. I really thought if there's anything going to happen, it's going to happen today, to be honest with you. But in another way, I'm pleased in the sense that no one got arrested or anything. Well, not as far as I know. But anyway, there is a response out, and we got a young man who's outside Belmarsh prison protesting for Tommy's innocence. So that's a good lad. I salute you, and I hope other people around near Thamesmead, where I used to live a number of years ago, that you join the gentleman. And because come Saturday, that people will be turning up from all over the country. That's what Tommy wants. So that's what Tommy wants. Tommy will be hearing the voices of the movement out there. With that, Dave, let me pass it back to you. And then he broke into a big cough then.
It's quite all right, Jeff. It's good reporting on it's good reporting on Ezra Levant's part, as always. He's always on the ball, and it's disappointing that this sentence was handed down. But in another sense, I don't think they had much of a choice because they were backed into a corner. I think what Tommy Robinson said in an earlier video was true. I think that if they hadn't sentenced him to something, he could have come back and sued the pants off him and won and been able to just retire for life. But, Jeff, I want to go ahead, if you don't mind, and play our SHR Media promo, since we're at the top of the hour, just about. And then we'll come back and have some more comments on this sentencing and implications surrounding it. What do you think, brother?
Can I just let you know that we've got someone in the chat room, Setunic, I think his name is.
Mm-hmm.
And also we've got someone who's listening in this studio as well, Dave, just to give you a heads up. Okay, brother?
Yep. All right. And welcome to Setunic, I think you said, Jeff, in the chat. And yeah,
Setunic,
guys, we're going to go ahead and play this. Yeah. Right now, we're going to go ahead and play the SHR Media promos. The English Defense League radio show is associated with the SHR Media Network. There's some great shows on there, and this is going to let you guys know what that is. This is 3.5 minutes, and then we'll come back on the other side for more of the English Defense League radio show and more commenting on the sentencing of Mr. Tommy Robinson. Here we go, guys.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunnett. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunnett.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad. Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And that is it for this time. Next time, part 2. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for listening, and may your God go with you. Goodbye.
The Unpleasant Blind Guy is copyright 2019. Anno Domini.